Welcome to our Roundtable series that has started in August last year on scaling regenerative methods in refugee camps and settlements. We are very happy to have you here and also to have a lot of registrations and interest in the topic. So we will have an introduction round in a minute, but basically the participants that you see here is people interested in regenerative solutions, also the guests we had on our roundtable in Uganda in August last year, and from the online roundtable in October 2024. And we are inviting you from the side of Generation Restoration. We are a young nonprofit association that serves as a bridge builder for the vision of transforming refugee camps worldwide from stagnant places of dependency into flourishing places of hope. And my name is Tina Teucher, and together with Celia Schiller, we are the hosts. So I give it to Celia now.
Yeah, thank you for the introduction, Tina. I welcome you also from my side. And again, sorry for the technical issues. I guess we will see how far we can go today, but at least we have a little forum of exchange, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So maybe let's go over a little bit of the agenda today. If you want to open up the next slide. Yes. So basically what we wanted to do was to first ask you who you are and what concerns you the most at the moment, because from that we also want to build up for our next roundtable and also align what we want to discuss about with what you anticipate to discuss about. So that is what we want to do first. Then we want to reflect on our action points and challenges that we have been discussing in Uganda. Just a brief overlook, and maybe it's also giving some inspiration to some of you. And then we had distributed some working group documents about seed production and conservation, and also about impact assessment and scaling. Some of you have contributed quite a lot to those documents, and we basically want to talk about them in a plenum. Some of you can then also comment on their comments and elaborate a little bit more on that. I will also distribute the links in a second in the chat once more. Yes, then we'll have a little break, and we also have the second working group, what I just mentioned, the impact assessment and scaling group that has worked on this other separate working sheet, and we wanted to end with a wrap up and Q&A. So I'm gonna send you the links in the chat once more to those documents and hand it over to Tina.
Yes. So after the roundtables, before the roundtable, and also already now, we want to present to you the next date of the next roundtable. So please save the date for the 2nd of May, same time. We will provide the registration link again on our website and also provide a more inclusive software to join. Sorry for today, but next time it will be better, so that everyone can join on the next roundtable at the beginning of May. Why are we doing these roundtables? We have done a lot of discussions and dialogue since 2021 on the question how to scale and create a long-term sustainable change for regenerative solutions in refugee camps and settlements. And what came out of these dialogues were three, let's say, strategy ways that can be pursued in parallel, which is scaling positive examples, because there are quite very interesting and good projects in refugee camps and settlements that do regenerative work, that apply regenerative solutions, and building or finding funding and building visibility for them, helps the network to grow and to learn from each other. With this, with these learnings, we want to facilitate dialogues also with standard setters, develop guidelines and change the standards so that refugee camps can easier become sustainable and regenerative. And we want to help develop entrepreneurship by co-creating business models for impact investing. And the role of generation restoration in this is building bridges and a strong, diverse network with you together. So thank you that you're here today, so that we can apply it and communicate about it, do impact assessment, facilitate stakeholder dialogues like today, but also more in person and online, and also facilitate the dialogue between projects and the investment world. We have documented the roundtables that we've done so far. You can find it on our website and also on our YouTube channel. Here you can see, for example, the documentation from August. There's a video summary, but also documentation in a PDF. Same goes for the October one. And I can definitely recommend to look into it, because also, for example, participants like Paulinho and Francis did very interesting presentations last time that they also provided to download. And it helps a lot to move forward with our discussion here. So now we want to go to the introduction round with all of you who are here now. We would like to know quite shortly from you, who are you, what's your name, your organization, in which country are you based, and what concerns you the most at the moment. And as I try to see you all. Just unmute yourself or raise your hand if you can with the software here. And yeah, Francis, you would like to start?
Yeah, I'm Francis Lumbuye from Nature and Creativity for the Future Generation. It is an indigenous NGO working in central Uganda.
Thank you. What concerns you the most?
Yes, seed production and conservation.
Andrea. Thank you, Francis. Andrea.
Yes, thank you for having me today. My name is Andrea Malilo. I'm joining you from Kakuma Refugee Camp in Kenya. I'm the co-founder of Hope for Refugee Life, a community-based organization dedicated to empowering women and girls through sustainable agriculture, early childhood education, and environmental conservation. I am passionate about generative scaling because it is aligned with our approach, creating systems that grow organically and empower also individuals to become agent. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Andrea. Who's next? Jessica, do you want to continue?
Sure. My name's Jessica Perini. I'm coming to you from Australia. I was invited by Rosemary Morrow, who you guys probably know, is an author of Earth Restorer's Guide to Permaculture, and I was her editor. I'm also a permaculturist. I'm most interested in seeds, preservation, saving, and I've been working remotely with refugee communities in Kakuma and Nakavale in Uganda. And hi, Andrea, and hi, Ruth, who is also here, and there was a second Francis who hasn't been able to get in, but brought a few people along. So yeah, good to see some familiar faces.
Thank you. Ruth, would you like to continue, as you were mentioned by Jessica? Yes.
Let me put a face to my... Okay, there we go. So hello, everyone. My name is Ruth Akinyi, and I'm from Kenya. And I'm the founder of Kanyawegi, Wasichana Tunaweza Kanyawegi. And this is a project that deals with young mothers. We are supporting them through permaculture, poultry system. And we're using this to help them pursue education and also to teach them about environmental conservation in relation to poultry. So my main concern would be the seed conservation and what is it called? The seed conservation and preservation. And another one too, it will also be the impact assessment and scaling. So it's my pleasure to meet you all, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Welcome. Marceline Munga.
Hello, everyone. Yes, hi, Jessica. Hi, Andrea. Happy to see you here. Yes, my name is Marceline Munga. I'm also from Kakuma Refugee Camp. Founder and CEO of Farming and Health Education. We are more dealing in regenerative agriculture with permaculture approach, whereby we are focusing more on education systems, but again, practical systems. We are also producing mushroom in Kakuma, and my main concern is on seed production and conservations. Thank you.
Thank you, Marceline. Welcome. Who's next? Who would like to join? Alamiga, Francis.
Can I go?
Yes. Greetings to everyone. My name is Alamiga Francis. I'm from Uganda, and particularly in the northern region, and that is in West Nile region, Arua City. I work with the YEPTEC International. YEPTEC is a youth entrepreneurship skills development center, and we focus on entrepreneurship and skills development. And under the skills development, we do value addition.
Probably we need support from movement.
So we do value addition and cereal processing. Then we do poultry farming, and we also scale people on the smart climate change, especially on the issues to do with the recycling and also briquette making. We realize that there's a lot of scarcity of energy for cooking, and most people cannot afford solar, and others can. Most of these refugee areas are not connected to national grid or electricity. So the alternative now comes to briquette usage, and these briquettes are as a result of recycling agro waste that are available, so that people use it for cooking. And at the same time, we also use the byproducts back on agriculture, and that is what we are doing in Mbepi. And also, we also focus on urban refugee settlements, those who have left the refugee camps, and also in the urban setting of Arua City. So that is one of the areas we are capturing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alamiga. Roger Smutekeki, you wanted to continue?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. My name is Rogers Mtegeki. I work with a youth-led organization called Anasi Farmers Association, and we are located in the Rwenzori region of Uganda, majorly in Kasese district. And what we do is we promote food and nutrition security in the communities we work with. And through that, we do that by promoting agroecology and permaculture principles and permaculture principles. We also work with IDPs, internally displaced people, especially in the community we work with. We've been facing challenges of floods, and typically people have been moved from one community to another. So yeah, we have a 6-acre demonstration site where we train people from the communities on permaculture and regenerative practices. I'm happy to be here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us. Paulinho.
Hi everyone, my name is Paulinho from Unido Social Innovation Center. We are located in Nakivale Refugee Settlement, Uganda. And I'm really interested on how to scale regenerative solution in refugee settlements. And my main concern is how we can help refugee in this time of humanitarian crisis to be more self.
Yeah, true. Thank you, Paulinho.
Thank you.
La Chiara. Hola, Tom.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm Ola Tom, and I'm regenerative land design and consultant, and also recently a co-founder of Yanwa Collectives. I'm currently based in Germany, and but my roots is in Uganda and Kitgum, northern Uganda in particular. Yeah, so currently co-founder of Yanwa Collectives, a community-based organization, and mostly we focus on designing and building a community center in rural northern Uganda. My concern and what really goes in my mind is resilience. How can our people respond to shocks and stress, be it economical, be it financial, be it climate-wise? So yeah, I'm very concerned about the resilience of rural communities. Yeah, good to be here and good to see so many familiar faces. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. What's next? Patrick? Patrick, if you can hear us, just unmute yourself, or you can also write in the chat. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, hello everyone. Good morning to you all. This is Patrick from Uganda. Patrick Seguja. I'm working with Kasuku Organics as a local organization under the umbrella of Green Light, which some time back during August that we had a meeting on this other side of Uganda with the whole group. Particularly our activities is to do with the organic farming. We are doing tree planting within the communities where we do local community engagements through group work. We have a youth platform where we are nurturing the youth through their professions to take careers through the community. We are working with local communities for resource mobilization for renewable energies, which we are also putting as one of the big activity. Coming to this meeting, I got the notes of it. I'm very curious to learn and to do a lot of sharing when it comes to seed production and its safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Aglaya?
Hi, everyone. I'm new to the team, And I'm really happy to be here today and meet everybody. Yeah.
Thank you for supporting generation restoration, Aglaya. Okay. I've forgotten anybody. Francis, maybe? Chukumi Sirise? I know. You were already. Okay. So anyone would join later or wants to talk, just unmute yourself. But I think we can now proceed to our next agenda point. Thank you for sharing your short introductions and also what concerns you. So we would like to talk about, and I give it on to Celia, what were the challenges mentioned in our roundtables in August that concern most of the participants.
Yes, so happy to also have some of you from August and October in here. We just want to reflect very briefly on to what we have discussed have been challenges that you have faced or are still facing. So what we have said was that scalability was a problem because there's a resistance to change due to a lack of knowledge. There's some form of comfort zoning, so people don't want to push over the edge, basically. And there are also issues of policy and relations in general. The context of the communities is a big challenge because communities differentiate between each other, so that needs to be put into the bigger picture. There's also an information gap between different groups within the communities. There are conflicting interests, so seeking commercialization or seeking permaculture benefits. So there are some other concerns in multiple directions. Then funds and funding, always a question mark. Mindsets, competition of money and transformative process. Then the duplication of work. Some of you are working on the same topics, which might duplicate the efforts, and scalability then comes into that. So joining forces can maybe make a bigger picture or not. That was one thought of some of you. Then getting funders and donors, capacity building in general, how is the implementation process going, how are decision-making processes made, how are participants trained. Then the integration in general, sufficient quantifiable data and a sophisticated software, for example, for impact assessment. Then climate change is also putting an extreme onto how regenerative solutions can be timed. And yeah, those were some. Can move on to the next slide. Yes, lack of meaningful beneficiaries, another one. Dependency on donor funding. So where's the attractiveness for private investment starting and how can we actually achieve that? Poverty in general, so we're having a lot of grassroots level actors, and then also the thought of seed usage came into play. Consistency, pursuing regenerative solutions, there is a need of consistency because you see long-term benefits, but not always in the short term. Globalization, so competitive forces from the external side, and sustainability in general. The real question: are we able to sustain? Last one's balance between livelihoods and conservation, lack of political will, and maybe also some bias. Then briefly over our action points, those were also collected in Uganda in August. we have highlighted some that were most important to you, which was basically the networking point. So sharing the knowledge, sharing the experiences, and that's why we also decided to continue this roundtable series. Then also doing more trainings, doing more train the trainer programs, engaging the local community, making some sort of communities of practice to forward the knowledge. Mapping of key stakeholders, so actually getting a glimpse of who is involved in this whole thing and how can we identify people who can move us forward in our endeavors. Get accessibility to long-term funding. What can you achieve in only 1 year? So that's a big question mark still, but also a big action behind it. Study a lot. I think that's an action point we can all take with us. We cannot learn enough from how we can proceed with regenerative practices. Then PPPs, policy advocacy to the government, setting clear goals, financing existing capacity, maybe among each other, awareness creation and outreach, climate change mitigation, which we continue on and on. Okay, and now we're actually moving forward to our practical part of the session. We have sent you some Google documents in advance that you could contribute to. One of them was seed production conservation, and this was a huge thing that you already mentioned is something of concern. And then also the impact assessment and scaling, because we want to see what actually is growing out of our approaches in order to scale them, in order to create visibility, in order to get more support from internal and external actors. So you can still contribute to those documents until March 9th. So I'm repeating that once more. March 9th is the deadline, so to say. We will then write your insights into a report and publish it on our website, distribute it via LinkedIn, via Instagram, so people can actually see what are your concerns with those questions that we asked you. And I guess this is a good insight into how your work is going right now, and is making or is maybe contributing to a wake-up call for people interested. So we want to go into the first group, which is the seed production and conservation one. And our approach would be now to just have a look at this document and discuss it in the plenum. And what I would suggest is that those people who have commented on certain questions, that this is now your time to say what are your thoughts on this. You can read it out, you can elaborate more on it. Yeah, then we all still have until March 9th to look a little bit further into this. Tina, would you like to share that?
Yeah. Just a second. So you have the link in the chat from Celia. You can all access the documents, but I also share the screen so that we are all on the same page. Yes. So this is the working group participants, and some of you already shared some thoughts. For example, on the first question, what is the current problem status? And I see Francis is here today. Maybe you would like to share some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, from the first point where it was asked, the issue at hand, what is the current problem or status you see about CD? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is the current status or problem you see about seed production and conservation. In fact, this is a serious problem because in our area of operation, when you ask farmers, where do you get seeds? They will all refer to you to a shop. And you find that these seeds are very expensive from the shops. For example, in our area, they grow a lot of maize. And a kilogram of maize, seed maize, it is at 15,000 Uganda shillings to 20. It ranges from there. And when a farmer harvests, we'll sell a kilogram of corn at 700 to 1,000. And yet, when a farmer goes to buy the seeds, he will have to buy the pesticides and the fertilizers. So you find that the farmer does not gain from what he invests in because there is a lot of exploitation. So we find that if we can preserve our own seeds, the farmer will gain because there will be no buying. Everything will be there for her or for himself during the planting season. And you find that these people, the business people who sell seeds, sometimes they hold the seeds so that the demand increases. And when the demand increases, they increase also the price. So I find that it is time to work on these local seeds, and people go back to our origins because our ancestors used to preserve seeds. But now when the introduction of these hybrid seeds, people forgot to preserve their seeds. So that's my intake.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Francis. Is there anyone who would like to add something to what Francis has said? Do you have the same point of view, or is there something more of concern or less of concern? That can be totally individual.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Once again, I'm Nyaneza Budaga from Rwamwanja Refugee Settlement, representative for RAF, that is Resilient Achiever Foundation. Yeah, commenting on the issue of the previous speaker, also here in the Rwamwanja Refugee Settlement, as he said, here in refugee settlement, they are growing more of maize, beans, and so forth. But now you found like seed preservation has been a problem, and you find at the end of it all, like after harvesting, after 1 month, when you go back to their home, you can't even find or a kilo of maize or beans, and you find that one has been a challenge. To add on, you are finding like on the process of preservation and the conservation, you're finding like even those one who have and preserve their seeds, you find when they have there are some pesticides which have already entered in their they are damaged. So like preservation and conservation in refugee settings, and particularly here in Rwanda, problem. So there is a need for sensitization, trainings about that, so that we could see how we could solve that problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think for me, actually, the next question ties into that very well, which would be, is there seed production conservation in your region, or how much is there?
And there is Andrea raising hand, maybe us also contributing.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity once again. As I said, I'm Andrea from Kakuma, and I'm also working with the Hope for Refugee Life. And we have a group called Wamama Twaweza, as Ruth mentioned. And this problem of conservation of seed, and it is also affecting us. It was also affecting us in our areas, or because most of the women that we're supporting were just plantings. Also, they don't have that knowledge of preserve the seed. But we get some knowledge from the host, like of Ruth, and also our mentor, who is Jessica Perrin. I know she's here also, is now hearing what I'm saying now. So he give us some knowledge. He give us also some skills on how to preserve seeds. And these things also affecting most of us in refugee resettlement based in Kakuma, because Kakuma has a condition, has a harsh condition, and also climate is very challenging. Some of the women that they cannot even do that plantation with more skills about it. So also I can add on it that we need maybe more training on them, and how we can preserve seed, because most of them are relying on buying them or also importing them, so which is not good, and also in farming activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Marceline Munga is also raising hand.
Yes, hello. I think I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I think the issue is on the seed production and conservations. Reflecting on Kakuma refugee sector, as Andrea mentioned. I will not again repeat the same, but I'm just going to touch on few. Because the seed productions and conservation itself, it's really facing the significant challenges here in Kakuma. Yet they present at the great opportunity for enhancing food securities and sustainable agriculture. So the major issue is lack of access to quality seeds. This is one of the major issues I can mention, lack of access to quality seeds. When I say quality seeds, I means including the indigenous and climatic resilience varieties that are needed to planted or to use in our farming practices as well. Despite the climate conditions of Kakuma, very harsh, dry, hot, but you found that there is a need of relying on, on seed conservations, for which this makes a lot of farmers in Kakuma, they do rely on external seed donations outside Kakuma, or if it's not a donation, maybe buying seeds outside Kakuma, for which is not sustainable and is not continuously being, continuously used. So today you can have, tomorrow no, because the seeds are not coming around the camp as well. So I believe that the conservations of indigenous seeds is crucial actual to ensuring biodiversities, but again, long term, yes, long term goals, like we need to have resilience on our seed productions. So this will need us now to get more knowledge on conservation, preservations of seeds. But again, how are we going to link the distributions or networking of seeds around among farmers themselves? I think this is one of the key points again to make across. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to make some addition on this, especially when you look at the refugee settlement in Mbepi in Western region. There's initially we had traditional crops like cassava, we had the sorghums. Now we also had other ways how people would preserve these crops. But with emergence that recently the government has stopped issues to do with the food distribution, and now they are giving people, I think average, let me say, less than $5 a month, which is about 14,000 Ugandan shillings for households. So if you look at that now, the ratio issue has gone up, and now they have introduced a system where people needed to get fast growing crops, and most of these fast growing crops are GMO related products. Now you find when a product is made, like when these people are given seeds for this season, which is coming for this March, after planting this crop, once it is harvested in June, and there are chances that if you decide to regrow the seeds which are supposed to be used for the second season, which is August, that production unit drops automatically, and you cannot keep that seed for the following year continuously to use. Unfortunately, the production gets affected too. Most times the results are disappointing. So for that reason, it's only very few farmers who are trying to keep back on traditional crops. Especially now, if you go to Mbepi, you will find these and Bidi, you will find most of these sorghums. They are trying to plant. Some of these people come with their own seeds from Sudan, and they come and plant here because GMO has not highly affected them on that side. And we have these research institutions that, because they are contracted for faster growing to aid in food security, now you find that most of these crops have been changed. So I think if we are using this new idea of preserving the resistant crops, then there's a high chance that all those varieties which have been resistant, which have been of high yield, can still come back if new technologies of improving the soil structures, using the free fertilizer systems, or using the organic system for restoring back the soil. There's a high chance that food issues can be done, and these seed multiplications of the originals can still be multiplied. So that was what I wanted to have some input in.
Thank you very much. I think we can move a little bit on in the document, but before we do that, maybe we have 2 more participants in the meeting. And just for you, Maria and Moses from Tree Adoption Uganda, we had a little introduction round, so maybe you want to chime in and present yourself briefly. Moses or Maria, if you can hear us.
Pardon? I didn't get the question well.
And I asked Moses and Maria from Tree Adoption Uganda to briefly present themselves, but we can also return to them later. Tina, would you like to share once more? Then let's move on with our document. So we've talked now quite a lot about the issue at hand, and also how it's influenced by the GMO factor, etc. What the next question would talk about is there seed production and conservation present in your region? And maybe then we can also tap into the advantages of having the seed production and conservation a little bit more. We briefly touched on that already in the previous question, but maybe we can, while talking about if there is in any region a lot of seed production and conservation, what are the advantages that we can ultimately see? Who are the beneficiaries of those advantages, and the constraints we mentioned quite a lot. So I think getting a little bit of a picture where those little places of hope are actually for the seed production conservation, and what really is the advantage, that would be awesome. And while seeing those advantages, then we can also see who can still support this cause and who can actually invest into that, or how can people be convinced that this is a good investment opportunity to conserve those seeds. So I'm throwing this into the plenum and give you the word. Marceline, do you want to continue? Maybe you just have your hand raised. That's fine. We continue with Francis then.
Yeah. From our region, currently I've not had anybody who is preserving seeds from our area of operation. But at least at our place, we have a demonstration farm, and we have tried to solicit for mother seeds from Buyukwe. Buyukwe is in eastern Uganda. There are some people who preserved the original seeds. Then we planted them on one side, and then we planted the hybrid, just trying to compare how they can perform. So we applied the organic fertilizers on both. And when time came to pests, they were all attacked. And when you applied some organic pesticides, the local one reacted on the pesticides, but the hybrid could not. So we are forced to use the chemicals to kill those pests. So during the harvest, we found that they all grew well, and we realized that if we can provide fertilizers and pesticides which are organic on our indigenous seeds, for example, maize, that's where mainly we are, they can perform. You can harvest just like you harvest from the hybrids seeds. So that is the research we have been on. We started small, but this time we want to plant all local seeds. Then we see how the performance will be. So that's how we have started in our region. But maybe somebody knows somebody who has started it, he can inform us. That's where we are.
Yeah, I'm not aware if there's anyone who studied seed conservation in our meeting right now. If so, please raise your hand and add to Francis' point. But yes, the pests or the pest disease problem, that is for sure the advantage of the local seeds, that they're more resistant. I think Marcelin, is that your, do you want to give a point into that or?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, thank you. The question is that is there seed production conservation present in our regions? The answer is yes. There is some small scale seed productions and the conservation efforts that are being made here in Kakuma refugee camp and the surrounding areas, but they are not well structured and widespread in the areas. And that we are going to find that many farmers are laying on seed provided by NGOs around the camp, and only few practices seed saving due to the lack of knowledge, but again, proper storage of facilities. So involved in the East Africa Near Seed Distribution Program, which aim to address the gap of promoting near seeds and preservations for at least sustainability of the farming. And this program, we are thinking to scaling up on how we can be able to establish some community seed banks, but again, training a lot of farmers and look for a lot of partnership with NGOs, but again, governments. At last, we are going now to create some seed cooperatives within the farmers, but again, organizations that are dealing with farming. So this is the program, this is the plans, I mean, scalable plans that we are planning, and see if we can be able to promote this at the large scale. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marcelin. Yes, I think we talked about the advantages. We talked a little bit that there's minimal or small scale seed production conservation. The last point I would actually like to throw to you is the investing part and the support part. You said there is small scale, but how do you anticipate or would imagine to have this growing? We know the advantages, we know that it benefits your communities. So who would be interested in supporting and investing, and how can you actually make that happen? What are your thoughts on that?
Excuse me, please, could you come again for that point?
Yes, of course. So we talked about the advantages. We know that there are beneficiaries, but who would actually be interested in supporting growing those seed conservation and production of local seeds? And who would also be interested in investing into that, into the local seed conservation? So how can you grow seed conservation? Who would be the supporters? Who would be interested in that?
Okay, maybe can I raise something?
Yes, of course.
First of all, in the seed production, to me, my most main interest is with the vegetable seeds. And the way I'm looking at it, one is to work with the farmers. You know, for the seed production to be meaningful, I'm looking at it as a way of structuring for farmers to start now coming back to have rights for seeds. A way of rights, that it is a farmer's right to have the seeds. Then there is one who mentioned about it. Then it becomes much more easy now to begin promoting what is a cooperative when it comes to seed production and all other dynamics that are involved. So I think for the investments, it has to be a partnership. What are the roles of the farmers? What is it that is lacking the farmers? Farmers, they need to be having the right for seeds, which they need and which are easy to promote and to grow because they own them. Other than this outside packaging, to think that in order to have seed production, we need other people to be part of that who are outside from the game of being farmers. That is my view, how I look at it. First of all, is to promote the rights for the farmer, promoting and protecting farmers' rights for seeds production. Thank you.
Thank you. Very important point there. Marcelin, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I believe that there is several stakeholders that could be interested in supporting or maybe investing in the local seed conservations. In Kakuma, refugee camp in Kenya, I'm going to touch on 6 categories, which will maybe give some highlight because there are many. One, I'm going to touch on the humanitarian organizations, those are NGOs, for which I believe WFP will be one of it, could support some seed banks, because I believe seed banks is part of the food securities and resilience programs. FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, will also be able to support if we refer. We also have IRC, International Risk Community, though here they are focusing more in health, but I believe they can also support on the seed production because they are also dealing with livelihoods. Seed Savers Exchange and Global Seed Network. If we read to them, they are very nice in advocacy and seed biodiversities and conservation, so they can also support. When we come to the research, maybe the government, yes, government of Kenya, especially the Kenya Ministry of Agriculture, might also help us in policy, but again, grants and trainings. We have Carlo in Kenya. This is Kenya Agriculture and Livestock Research Organizations. They are very nice. And here we also have Turkana government. They can also support us. So there is a lot of private sectors that maybe I can only mention 2, like 1 Acre Funds, but again, the East Africa Seeds Exchange that I'm involved in. We can be able to reach up to the philanthropic and organization foundations that are giving out seed funding. So that is a way that we can also tackle it. Yeah, maybe to clarify on this, we might also be able to write a clear proposal that will outline our objectives and the impacts on how things will be moved. But again, to involve some agricultural expertise in terms of trainings, but researches, yeah. So those are the few that I can share and see if we can bring resilience in this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelin. Good points and a lot of organizations that you mentioned there. So if you have a minute, in order to also for us not to get it wrong, it would be great if you could add your organizations, the governmental bodies into the document. And the proposal, of course, is a very good point here to propose on how to move forward with that. I guess that is a point that we can still talk about. I'll take Francis at last one, and then we're going into a group picture to also be happy about that we can have this wonderful exchange. Francis.
Yes, thank you very much. As I mentioned in my input there, local and international NGO, government agencies, private companies, and individuals. But this will depend on the way seed production and preservation is packaged, because it cannot be done by one person or one company, but it involves everybody, including the government. Because if the government puts a policy against indigenous seeds, then there is no way you can go with it. So the government has to come in, then other stakeholders to support, but it will depend the way it is packaged. So if you find that the multinational companies which are providing hybrids, that it is a threat to them, then they might hinder it to develop. Yeah, that is my take.
Also, very good point, Francis, and that ties a little bit into what Marcelin was saying when writing a proposal, for example, voicing your concerns there, you first need to make sure that you have the right stakeholders that are really contributing to this package of seed production and conservation, both of them. All right. As I said, you have until March 9th to still add something to this. Would highly appreciate it. And now we're taking a group picture. So if you want to have your camera off, you can certainly do so, but we invite you to turn it on because, yeah, it's nice to see faces and people excited about moving forward with regenerative agriculture. Okay. I give you one more second. And Tina, do you get all people into one thing, or because then I could take one picture of page 1 and you of page 2?
Yes, let's try. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll take page 1 and you take page 2.
Yeah. So say seed.
Seeds.
Great.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we can we have now discussed the seed production conservation part of our roundtable today, and want to proceed with the impact assessment and scaling.
Yes.
Shall I continue, Celia?
Yeah, if you want to share, I can also share whatever.
So in this working group, Andrea and Tom have worked a lot in the document already, and the questions were also, what is the current status or problem? What do you already do within your organization in terms of impact assessment and scaling? How could you scale this further? What are the advantages and the beneficiaries, but also the constraints, and who could support and invest in it? So similar questions to those that we discussed in the seed group. And I would like to invite Tom to share some of your thoughts on that you already have shared, but also what is important to you. And then also invite all of you in this call here to share your thoughts and comments.
Hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I just joined the working group yesterday, by the way, so I worked on this last night. Yeah, and
Great.
yeah, I was introduced to this working group by a friend, Juan Joffrey, and probably Tina would know. I had the introduction via email a couple of days ago, and I thought I'd look into this. So yeah, with impact assessment and with all these other projects going down, it's always very prudent to realize that most grassroots initiatives and projects around regenerative agriculture or regenerative practices, be it from the social aspect or from the nature aspect, is mostly championed by community-based organizations or community initiatives that are often not so well structured or not so well capacitated to match the counterparts, such as other humanitarian and developmental organizations. So there's always that variance in the level to which they can assess their project, their decision-making tools and planning framework. So this we need to recognize from the onset. Yeah, there's a lot of issues that can face our impact assessments. One is absence of context-specific impact assessment metrics. How do we assess the project we are doing? So oftentimes, from my own experience working in over 17 countries the last 4 years with these communities, I've noticed that yeah, their project development or kind of like their take on project is not often kind of well structured. Yeah, they know what they're doing, they know what they want, but yeah, they just go with the flow. And there's this aspect of planning that is missing in most of these projects. So you cannot measure what you've not planned for because you don't have the metrics in place. So I think there's this gap of absence of metrics that are context specific, that really considers this refugee settlement or host communities current or existing situation. So this is one constraint to assess the impact of the work they're doing. Yeah, and when we talk of data collection and sharing barrier, transparency equals to trust. At present, the supporters or investors or donors really has a very high bar set for accountability that is often not or could not be reached by most community-based organizations. We're talking about drone, we're talking about remote sensing. To those in the tree planting kind of project space, there's drone that's been introduced, there's GIS that has been introduced, there's a lot of technicalities that goes with this assessment. So oftentimes many community-based organizations do not really have this capacity or resources to match up such bar that has been set so high by the current assessment or the standard global criteria. So this is something that really constrains their efforts to share the work they're doing, the beautiful work they're doing with the community or their communities of supporters. When we look about short-term project timelines, most of these community-based projects, they really have very short timelines, say 1 to 2 to 3 years. Then the funding is cut or the project is cut short. So nature doesn't really work like that. When we're talking about revitalization or repair or restoration of livelihoods, we're talking about landscape that has been degraded for years. You cannot just see results in a snap of a finger. You might see a few trees or you might see a few social cohesions between communities. Just when things are beginning to work, that's when everything stops, and you can't really assess how far you've gone with the initiative. So oftentimes most of the projects are short cycles, and yeah, priority is often given to immediate relief and is not often given to assessment. So the fundings or the supports are often more directed to immediate reliefs rather than to assess the work, they're concurrently assess the work they're doing, because via assessment, of course, you learn what is working and what is not. How can you better shape, because project evolves with the community needs, and project evolve as you go on. So if this aspect of assessment, this tool and planning framework is missing, then you really lose sight of the big picture. And yeah, that is really a big constraint that I see when it comes to assessment. Yeah, could you roll up a little bit? Yeah, I think basically that is what I was able to see from that as a big constraint. So it really requires a lot of structuring. Community-based organizations need really support in form of administration, in form of how can they account, or how can they, there's a lot that needs to be done in the house before it even goes out. But oftentimes that it does not really happen. So then oftentimes a CBO is formed doing regenerative project. In few months, they're out doing project. And when you go out into the field, things just open up. There's a huge need that you really lose sight of what you really set out to do. So without a proper project plan with a proper assessment criteria, we cannot prioritize anymore, or we cannot really focus on what it is we want to achieve. Then we go all say, okay, I can tap onto this, I can tap onto that, I can tap onto this. Then it becomes a bit blurry, the line between what it is we can do and what it is we cannot do. So yeah, that is my take on that first question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tom. That was really insightful. And I think it's a very important point that there needs to be some sort of organization or like development of a plan that can relate to the CBOs. So of course the CBOs are involved in this impact assessment, but it is a matter of structuring because it is so community based, which is awesome. But yeah, we just need to figure out how. Yeah, is there anything someone wants to add to the issue or wants to move forward with advantages that you see from impact assessment and scaling and why we should do that?
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, Tom. Do you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Yes, Pauline.
Yeah. So I think Tom has shared almost everything that I came up with, as if he had been reading in my memory. So of course, I wanted to emphasize in terms of the tools that people or the community-based organization are not able to afford to make sure that they have a clear impact assessment of their project. But apart also from the tools, they don't know how to project this, because this is the most important things that donors or investors are seeing, how really the change you want to see the change that most of people in your community will benefit. So and something else is the tools. So the tools are the most important. For example, in this last year, we have been nominated for the If Shot Prize, and one of the things that we have maybe affect us not moving forward to the final pitch was how we measure our impact. And there are some criteria that they are put in place, and we was not really qualified because of the tools that was needed. For example, in how are your projects is measuring the carbon sequestration, and how this, of course, you have put the ecological part of the solution. So how do you measure it? And it was quite also, of course, there are some points that we have shared, but it was not really conversing to the panel community to really assess what the change we want to see in terms of our ecological part of the project. So that means, in case that we want to make sure that people or organization meets with this standard, or putting in place the key metrics that will enable the donors or the investors to make sure that they see or they get convinced of the impacts that people that will be implemented in the community. We need to make sure that we have this big organization have enough skills and also tools that will enable them to collect this data and provide them to people who want them. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Paulinho. Yeah, we talked about the data collection tools. We talked about the training for using your skills, and also about the CBOs. I think one more point that we can talk about in this regard is actually how to basically scale impact assessment, like with insufficient tools and data. It's very difficult. So there also needs to be some funding involved. And this is then also feeding into the constraints that we're having that we touched upon already. So how can you actually scale impact assessment, and maybe are you already scaling your impact assessment in some form or are anticipating it?
And Ruth was also raising her hand.
Okay, thank you that you have an eye on that. Ruth, maybe you go first.
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to maybe add a point on the first topic.
Sure.
Okay. So my two friends have really put across really powerful insights, and like I'd want to add another one, like kind of you have complexity of community. And by this we say that there's different dynamics, and you find that communities are diverse and they're dynamic, are very complex. So understanding and measuring the impact of such interventions within such communities becomes a challenge. And another one would be like the baseline data absence. And we find that this one, the lack of it, or the lack of baseline data at the beginning of the project makes it so difficult to establish a clear starting point for the evaluation process of a particular project. So we find that the impact accuracy of a certain project becomes very difficult.
Also very important point by you, Ruth. Baseline data. Of course, when you're starting something like that, there might not be either the thought of impact assessment or the funding towards actually collecting this data, and also not the tools. But if we don't have something to compare it with, the study becomes really difficult. All right. So I guess this also feeds into scaling it, because without baseline data, you can't scale it very much, or actually you always need to have a starting point in order to multiply this. So this would be a constraint I would see into scaling, but you've also written down lack of infrastructure, resistance to change, insufficient capacity or skills to manage the growth, logistical challenges, of course, that's a good point. And yeah, I think we can then just go to the last point I mentioned earlier. So who would be supporting impact assessment, how could you also maybe create the fruits of having someone supporting your baseline data? Is there any organization, specifically any institution that is of knowledge who would support those causes? Yeah, Tom, you're raising your hand. Sorry, it appears so late.
Yeah, yeah, I think there's a lot of people that could support impact assessments and scaling, and just that we need to not look at this in isolation. There's a lot of cross-sector collaboration that can happen. Like I earlier on said, there are humanitarian and developmental agencies that operate in such a very difficult context already, and yeah, they have the resources and the capacity, and that they already have a standardized kind of like assessment. They do similar project to what the community-based organizations are doing. There's just need for that cross-sector collaboration, and CBOs or individual or community actors shouldn't really look at themselves or their project in isolation, but rather there's need to link. There's, like I said earlier, there's a need for locally contextualized impact assessment, while kind of like learning and borrowing from these other cross-sector actors and contextualizing it to the local communities. And then there's always that linkage that can happen. So I see humanitarian and developmental agencies. I see local community stakeholders and leaders who would be very interested in this. I see local government. I see academic institutions and research institutions as well. And I also see, ethical investors would also be very interested in supporting this, because there's already a chain that is being developed. We just need to link things up and borrow and learn and have that cross-sector collaboration going. There's CBO as the base of everything, and then it kind of like sprouts up. So there's need to look at this from across sector kind of like lenses, I would say. Yeah.
Thank you. I have one follow-up question to that. If those CBOs are meaning to collaborate with humanitarian organizations, NGOs, or academic institutions, or those investors, what would need to be the common denominator? Like, how is this collaboration going to be based on equal footing? How are the organizations not too much directing the CBOs? What needs to be the base of collaboration?
Yeah, this goes back to my previous stating of we need to empower our NGO. I mean, we need to empower our community-based organization to have structures, because whenever you have a structure in place and you have operational structures in place, then you have kind of like a ground with which you begin. Because if we want to collaborate with these humanitarian agencies with well-developed structures and operational system in place, we need also to match up that. To match up that, then we have to empower ourselves, put up systems and structures and in place as a community-based organization. That could not be as complex as that, but then we have a place where to start from. So I see community-based organizations with structures in place. I mean operational structures in place, collaborating with these other agencies, but of course with well-defined terms and well-defined boundaries. This is the extent to which we can do this. It's always very prudent to define the terms of collaboration on set before going and about with any collaboration. So I think we have structures in place. We have structures in place, and we have well-defined boundaries and what we need. Knowing what we need and what we want to do will probably better set us on. Yeah.
Thank you. Paulinho and then Marcelin, and then we're going into the wrap up.
So for me, I think it's always based on the a certain pilot's research or a project that you need to collaborate on together, and to you set the terms of collaboration, what each party's expectation, and the most important is the from the metric, the impact assessments, putting the metrics there, it's always a collaborative work that you need to put in place in order to reach the impact that you want to see. So this always not always the same. So because what's maybe the collaboration that I can have with generation restoration, it is not the same as I could have with UNCR, but together we can develop our own impact assessments, and so that we reach a certain goals that we have fixed, both of us. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Pauline. I think he has mentioned crucial things that I could also mention. Just support on the issue of collaboration, pilot collaboration, that is more crucial and important for me. I think for the CBOs or community-based organizations, this the thing that I think it's more important to collaborate with. So if this humanitarian, so this private sector organization, academic institution can work with CBOs, so first to work with the pilot project and access it, and how to see how it's going to be. But again, we mentioned the terms and the structures. I wanted to add on the issue of policy, organization policy. This is among the safety, safeguarding policies, but including financial policies, the whistleblowing policy. So those are the policies that are also needed to be accounted in terms of the terms and the conditions when we are working on the MOUs, I mean memorandum of understandings. So other things just a matter of developing and see if things will be able to be clear as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcelin. Yes, of course, MOUs are very important here, and setting the clear terms within a pilot cooperation is basically building trust on both sides. So, very good point. Andrea.
Okay, thank you once again for the opportunity. I think we have the same idea with Marceline and Paulinho. First, what we need first is collaboration with those located base organization like the Kakuma. We have to partner and also to collaborate for these matters. And also we have to bring some strategic to support to help to achieve our mission. That's the first, because let us our work speak first for those to attract those international organizations to chip in, because they want to know what you are doing and what you are interested in and what your mission is first. That is the only thing that we can work with it in our local areas as CBOs. That is matter a lot, because when we collaborate, then or partner, so we will attract other donors to chip in and also support our work. That's what I want. That's what I have. Thank you.
It's good to hear so many of the same thoughts and how you wish for collaboration in this regard. I think with that, we're going to wrap it up. And as I said, you still have time to contribute to the working documents until March 9th. So no rush, still 2 weekends ahead. And then we're going to write this report, and we'll also be in touch with you with a follow-up email, and also remind you of the next roundtable in May. So with that, I think we have one slide on the roundtable. It's going to be on May 2nd. And we will hopefully eliminate the technical issues of the beginning until then. I guess it gives us enough time to do so. I'm really sorry about that, but we'll make it more inclusive next time. So yes, what we want to do together is to scale the regenerative project, to create some visibility for US grassroots organizations and also network amongst you. And have more of those dialogues continuing our roundtable series. But I want to highlight what you can do now as well would be to share your regenerative projects. So you can write us an email with your project description, and we can put that on our website. And you can also subscribe for our news. Some of you have requested that already with the form that you filled out. And again, the next roundtable would be on May 2nd. And I hand it over to Tina for some additional thoughts.
Thank you, Celia. In general, thank you all for contributing to this roundtable today. We are still open for, let's say, 15 minutes or so for open discussions, also mentioning what you haven't been sharing until now, also, questions and discussions, because we started a bit later today. But for all of those who have to go right now, that's fine. So we officially close this conversation now. And thank you very much. There will be a documentation again. And we warmly invite you to contribute more to the shared documents so that we collaborate on this and can also provide it to more stakeholders, may it be grassroots organizations, CBOs, humanitarian organizations, and investors and donors, to make these conversations visible, and also the constraints, but the opportunities we have in this. So thank you very much right now. And I say goodbye, and also hello to those who want to discuss more, and just raise your hand or unmute yourself and share some more thoughts on seed production, on impact assessment, or other things that interest you.
Yeah, thank you also from my side. I need to switch off at this point. So from my side, it's a goodbye, but I wish you happy networking and a good Q&A session. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Celia.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Fazil. I just see you now. Welcome.
Bye too.
Hi. Maybe on my side, I wish to say thank you so much for this conversation. It has been really good, and we hope for next round of meeting we shall share more insights, and the document that will be shared, we shall fill it as well as possible so that maybe you could get more feedback and more insights. Thank you so much, Tina. Generation Restoration, thank you so much. As Ralph in Ramwanja, greetings. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Munyaneta. Yes, you can also share what you would like to discuss in the next roundtable, or what would be your hopes for our next dialogues, because this is an ongoing conversation. We have a series here, and always include into the agenda of next time's roundtable your constraints, needs, and everything you find is important.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe to share a little bit, know sometimes here in Ramanja refugee settlement, as RAF, Resilient Achiever Foundation, it is a women-led organization that is focusing mainly on women empowerment and livelihood and restoration projects, and see how women can be empowered. And above all, we would see how we would do improve on some agricultural projects to see how these women can be reliant, because sometimes you are finding some women going in GBV cases are increasing because there's no food. They are fighting with their women, with their men, husbands, because husbands have failed to provide for them basic needs. And if we could see how we could improve on their livelihoods to create for them some projects, we see how these people, how these women in Rwamanja and in other camps could be empowered in agricultural areas or in the livelihood areas, so that when they get maybe some project to help them, GBV cases would be solved and would be limited. Otherwise, I say thank you, and once again, thank you so much for this conversation.
Thanks for pointing out the importance of empowering women and youth. Yeah, I think there are a lot of participants who agree with this and also work on it in their respective projects.